Yes, welcome back to Untitled Academy. So, in our previous video on this series, which we actually started recently, which is vector addition, right? So, for today, we going further, having and gaining more in-depth understanding on this subject matter. All right, let's dive in. All right, so these are what we'll be doing for today. The outline, right, for this particular video, the problems, we'll solve problems and I'll give solutions on two scenarios or two case studies. One is two forces whose angle between them is acute, right? I'll explain what acute means as we proceed. Two forces whose angle between them is obtuse. And just for your understanding, towards the end, we'll do a quick recap, highlighting the main points which I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And lastly, as a tradition, I will give you home tasks, which you have to submit, and then we'll send a solution to you. All right. So the question 1. What is the resultant and direction of two forces 100 Newton and 80 Newton whose angle between them is 120 degree? Alright, so before I start, I would like to know if you guys understand what I mean by acute and what I mean by obtuse. I believe that I have said this over and over in the past, but repetition matters. Repetition helps you to retain information for a longer period of time, right? So it's very simple. Acute is 0 degree to 90 degree. So any angle between 0 degree to 90 degrees is actually acute. What of obtuse? Obtuse is what? 90 degree to 180 degree. So 90 degree to 180 degree. Do you get that? All right. Now from this explanation on acute and obtuse, what do you think? Which category will 120 degree fall into? Can you guess? Definitely what? Obtuse. So 120 degree is actually what? Obtuse. Is that clear? All right, let's start. Let's solve now. So how we can have something like this, right? So this can be 100 Newton and this 80 Newton. Exactly. And the angle between them is what? 120 degree. Good. So the first step we have to do is to what? Form a parallelogram. Form a parallelogram. That's the first step. And there are some principles you have to know on that parallelogram. On the parallelogram, opposite sides are equal. Opposite sides are equal, right? You get to see all this play out as we proceed. Opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel. And lastly, opposite angles are equal. Yes. So the first thing I'm to do here is to form what? A parallelogram. Since opposite sides are equal, it will be like this, right? Good. So now, if we represent a parallelogram this way, right? This particular part is called what? The diagonal. It's called what? The diagonal. Is that clear? Good. And the diagonal in vector addition signifies what? Resultant. So whenever you hear diagonal in parallelogram, that is as a method used in solving vector addition, right, is equal to what? The resultant. So do not forget that. So what do you think? Where do you think our resultant to be, or the diagonal? It will be definitely this, right? Something like this. Exactly. Good. So we have to look for what this angle is, and we have to also know what this angle is. This 120 degree is also 120 degree here. Do you get that? Opposite sides are equal. I said so. Opposite angles are equal. If here is 100 Newton, here will also be what? 100 Newton. Opposite sides are equal. Is that clear? Here also will be what? 80 Newton. Okay. Now, since we are cancelling, since the diagonal will divide, or will we'll divide the 120 degree Newton, 120 degree, right? We're not going to make use of this angle anymore. We have to know what this angle is and what this angle is. Is that clear? And the easiest way to get that is by using summation of angles of a parallelogram, which is equal to what? 360. Do you get that? Which is equal to what? 360. So I can just say here is x. Since opposite sides are equal, here also what? Here also what? X. Is that clear? 120, 120. So I have 120 degree plus 120 degree plus x equal to 360 degree. 120 degree plus 120 degree is what? 240 degree plus 2x equal to 360 degree. Is that clear? So 2x is equal to 360 degree minus 240 degree. How it became minus is that this what came to this part. Is that clear? Alright. So I have 2x is equal to 360 degree minus 240 gives what? 100 and, can you try? 120 degree. Is that clear? Now divide both sides by 2. Our x is equal to what? 60 degree. Is that clear? So now here is what? 60 degree. Here is also what? 60 degree. So I will bring it out, and that's what we use in solving. So it becomes like this. Here's what? 60 degree. Here's 80. Here's our R, that 80 degree I mean. Here's what? 100 degree. Is that clear? Alright. So we want to look for this part. We want to know what this is. Right? We want to know what this is, what our R is. And according to cosine rule, whenever you are given two sides, so this is Newton, not degree. My bad, sorry. So whenever you are given two sides, in this case forces, right, and one angle, and you are trying to get the last angle, right, and trying to get the last angle, what you make use of what is the cosine rule. Now, if you can, so good students, do you remember what the cosine rule is? Alright, if you don't remember, don't worry, you'll learn it here. So a square is equal to b square plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. A here being the angle. We have just one angle. So in this case, I can just say r squared is equal to f1 squared plus f2 squared minus f1 minus 2f1 f2 cos a, or cos theta. Anyway, so our r is not given, so r squared equal to f1. I can just say f1 is 80 newton square plus 100 square minus 2 times 80 times 100 cos 60, right? Cos 60. All right, so what's 80 square? Some what do you call, some external examination don't give calculator, so you have to know how to get these things without the use or high dependent on calculator. So 80 square is what? First, know that 80 comprised of 80 is 8 times 10, which is square, like more like, right? So 8 square is what? 64. 10 square 100. So just add this to 0 here. So 6,400. Is that clear? So r square is equal to 6,400 plus 100 square is what? Just use the same techniques, right? Just use the same techniques and you get the correct answer. That is 10,000, right? So 2 times 80 will give you 160 times 100 will give you what? 16,000, right? So cos 60 is what? 0.5. I taught you that. I told you how to get that, right? I taught you that in the previous class. So now 16,000 times 0.5, which is like divided by 2, is just 8,000, right? So r square is equal to 16,400. I hope you know how I got this. I added 6,400 to 10,000. Is that clear? Good. So 16,000 times 0.5, or times 0.5 will give you what? 8,000. As simple as that. As simple as that. Alright? Okay, so 16,400 minus 8,000 will give you what? 8,400. Now we are left with r square equal to 8,400. R square equals to 8,400. I'm just taking everything from the previous slide to this particular one. So what you have to do here is correlate both sides, right? So this cancels this. So we have r is equal to the square root of 8,400 is what? You can use a calculator if you wish to do so. You can also use sword to get your answer, but I'll use calculator. From calculator, r gives 91.7, that is approximately Newton, right? Now we won't stop here. We are not going to stop here. Now bringing back what we had in the previous slide, we had something like this. This might not be accurate, right? It might not be accurate. It's not drawn to scale. So what we have here is, what was the angle we had here? 60. So here's 60 degree. Here's 80 Newton, 100 Newton, and here we have as 91.7 Newton, right? And we're asked to find the direction. Okay, direction is actually very, very simple, right? Direction is actually the angle which the horizontal forms with the resultant. So this particular part is what? The resultant is the direction. Do you get that? So how can we get this? How can we get this? We have two angles and we have all the sides there. We cannot use cosine rule. We can't use cosine rule because two angles are present. Yeah, two angles are present. So we're going to make use of sine rule. If you remember, A over sine A equal to B over sine B equal to C over sine C. Like, this is exactly what we're going to make use of. Exactly. Alright, so this signifies the sides. In this case, the forces. This is the sides of the forces, these are the angle, right? So let's get work. So for here I can just say this gamma. Maybe I can just say this gamma. So I have here as 100 over sine alpha equal to 80 over sine this equal to 91.7 over sine 60. Good. So which we must actually go to. What should we go with? Should we go with this? Definitely we must go with this. Why? Because it contains a direction. It has a direction, right? Which we are looking for. I have to go with this. We can't go with this. Reason is because we can't be looking for two variables at one time. It becomes so much to handle. So we're going to go with this. So we're going to go with just the both of them, right? So let's bring it out. And solve. So we have 100 over sine alpha equal to 91.7 over sine 60. Cross multiply, we have sine alpha equal to 91.7 times 91.7 is equal to 100 times sine 60. Right, divide both sides by 91.7, right? So sine alpha is equal to sine 60 is what? Root 3 over 2, which is also 0.8660 times 100 divided by 91.7. So sine alpha is equal to 0.860 times 100 will give you what? 1. You go for 1, 2. Right, so it give you 86. Sorry. It give you 86.60 divided by 91.7. Is that clear? So sine alpha is equal to 86.60 divided by 91.7, right, equal to, so we're getting 0.9443. So to get our alpha, which is the direction, what are we to do? Just divide both sides by sine, which will give you sine inverse of 0.9443. Is that clear? Good. So use a calculator. You can't deduce this. So use a calculator to get your answer. Alright, so with my own calculator I got 70.78 degree. Is that clear? Your SI unit matters a lot. So finally I'll say resultant is equal to 91.7 Newton, while the direction is equal to 70.78 degree. Is that clear? Good. So the next question. Two forces of 50 Newton and 70 Newton act on a point at an angle of 100 degrees. Determine the magnitude and direction of the force, of the resultant force. This is somewhat similar to what we did in the previous slide. Very simple. So I suggest you pause this video, right, and try something on your own, then come back to it. Now let's proceed. it be somewhat like this. Good. So I won't go through the stress of explaining and explaining, right? You already have the background, the basics of it. So this 70 Newton, I can use it as 70 degree. It does not matter. It does not matter, right? So this 50 degree and this 70, this 50 Newton and 70 Newton. So what I do is convert it to parallelogram. Is that correct? So convert it to parallelogram. That's the first step. Then what next? This, right? Sorry for my line is not accurate. So, but draw a line from here that will touch here, which is the diagonal, and which will represent the resultant. But before you divide it, you also have to know what this angle is, right? Any of this angle, you have to know. We already know that this is 100 degree because opposite angles are equal. Exactly, opposite angles are equal. All right. So as usual, x plus x, that is I use here as x and here as x, plus 100 degree plus 100 degree equal to 360 degree. So we have 2x plus 100 plus 100 is what? 200. Exactly, 360 degree. So 2x is equal to 360 degree minus 200 degree. 2x is equal to 360 minus 200 will give you 160 degree. X will give you 80 degree. I'd better both side by 2. That I got arrived at 80. That said, I can now move on to divide it, right? To single out this portion, to bring out this portion out. That's exactly what I'm doing and nothing more, right? Okay. So so I have here as 80 degree, I have here as 70 degree, I have here as 100 degree, right? And we have to look for this. As usual, make use of your cosine rule. F1 square plus F2 square minus 2F1 F2 cos R, cos theta, I mean to say cos theta. All right, so our resultant R, we go to F1, which can be 70. I always put in degree. Why? All right, so 70 Newton, that is square, plus 100 Newton square minus 2 times 70 times 100 cos 80 degree. Is that clear? Okay, let's move on. So using what I taught you the last time, what do you think 70 square will be? Don't feel it. Don't use calculator. Correct. 4 times 4,900. What of this? What of this? Just put your 2 0, and what does it result in? 10,000. So 2 times 70 times 100 will give you what? 14,000. 14,000. Right? And cos 80, no shortcut, you have to make your calculator, will give you 0.1736. 0.1736. Is that clear? Alright, so I have here as 14,900 minus, so this times 14,000 will give you 2,431.07. That's what is resulting. Okay, subtract it. Use a calculator, or if you're smart, you can make use of your brain. So 14,900 minus 2,431.07. All right, it will give you 12,468.93. So bringing this down, we have r squared. All right, let's turn over so here doesn't get compressed, right? Okay, so we have r squared equal to 12,468.93. So the square root of this will give you what? Use a calculator. Correct. So R is equal to 111.664 Newton, which is approximately 11. So 111.7 Newton. Now to the direction. So if we are to redraw it, this is how it's going to look like. So we have our angle here as 80 degree, 70, 100, and our resultant. So this 80 degree, 100 Newton, 70 Newton, and here as what 111.7 Newton, right? So this will be our direction. So let's make it fast. So I'm not going to tell you about sine rule and the rest like that. So let's just move on. So pick the relevant angles and sides, and you are gone. So 100 divided by sine. So it's actually the opposite side. I don't know if you notice it. It's actually the opposite side. So what angle is this facing? You get just like the opposite side. So in case you didn't get it the first time, so this is like sine 80 times 100 equals to sine alpha times 111.7. Alright, so sine 80 is what? Okay, sine 80 is 0.9848. Okay, so times 100 equal to sine alpha times 111.7. Double side by 111.7. So we are going to move here forward 2 times. So we're having 0.9848 divided by 117. Direction will now equal to, use your calculator, 0.48 times divided by, I mean to say 111.7. Your answer will be 0.8816. Do not neglect the sine alpha. So this is it here, right? So your direction will go to sine inverse of 0.8816. Sine inverse of that will give you what? Make sure you calculate it and tell me the answer. 61.84 degree. So we've gotten our direction and we know our resultant. Now to the third question. What's the resultant and direction of two forces 60 Newton and 30 Newton whose angle between them is 20 degrees? So this is an acute, right? This is an acute angle. What we've been treating so far our obtuse angle. So let's solve it. This is not going to waste time. It's the same principle, nothing to add and nothing to subtract, right? So we have something like this. So we have 20 degree here, we have 60 Newton, and we have 30 Newton. So you can just connect the dot. Here will also be what? 20 degree. So use your what you learned so far to get x. So x plus 20 degree plus 20 degree equals to 360 degree. So we have 2x plus 40 degree equals to 360 degree. 2x is equal to what? 360 degree minus 40 degree, which will be equal to what? 320 degree. So 2x divided by 2. Do you understand? So x is equal to what? 360 divided by 2 is what? 160 degree. So that's what this is. So where they meet is where your resultant will be. I get it. So we have something like this. Right, so we have 120 degree, we have 30 Newton, and we have 60 Newton. We are still going to make use, and we're looking for our R. We are still going to make use of our resultant force, which is F1 plus F2 squared minus 2F1 F2, right, cos theta. Is that clear? So our R squared is equal to F1, which is 30 Newton. It can be anyone. I can use 60, I can use 30, it does not matter. So plus 60 square minus 2 times 30 times 60 cos theta, right? Okay, so R square is equal to, what's 30 square? Try now. What's 30 square? 900, correct. So 900 plus 60 square is what? 3600, correct. Minus, so 2 times 30 times 60 will give what? 60 times, it's simple. Just this times this is what? 60 now, right? So 60 times 60 will still give you this answer. So 3600. Do you get? And now, so cos, oh yeah, this is 30, so this is 120 degree, right? So cos 120 degree will give you what? Will give you a negative answer, right? But if you use a calculator, you're going to use what? Minus 0.5. Is that clear? Good. So 900 plus 3600 will give you what? 4500. Alright, so minus plus 3600 divided by 2 will give you what? Just divide it by 2. What do you get? Correct, 1800. Right, so 1800 plus 4500 will give you 6300. Is that clear? So square root both sides. So R square is equal to 6300, right? R square is equal to 6300. So just R will go to the square root of 6300. R will be what? Square root of 6300. Use the calculator. You're going to get 79.37. So R is just approximately 79 plus 4 Newton. Don't forget your SI unit, it's very important. Right, so after that, we've gotten the resultant. Let's find the duration since we were asked to get the resultant too. Alright, so it's very simple. So 60 and 30. 60 Newton, 30 Newton. So we're going to have 79.4 Newton over sine 120. Is that clear? So now the problem is, now how do we know our direction here? Right? How do we know our direction here? So, well, it's more or less the same thing, but you have to be logical here, right? So it's actually what between this angle. Is that clear? It's actually what between this angle, right? So I can, if I should flip this over, it will be like this, right? If I should flip it over, here it becomes 120 degree, here becomes the angle which you're looking for, which is alpha. Here becomes our R, F1, F2. So it's just more or less like the same thing. Is that clear? Right? So we have 60 Newton divided by sine alpha, and the last one, which is 30 Newton divided by sine gamma. We can just start this particular part, right? So we're picking these two only, these first two. So we have 79.4 times sine alpha is equal to sine 120 times 60. Divided by 79.4. So sine 120, as I've said before, is what? Negative 0.5. So sorry mistake, it's actually what? Root 3 over 2 sine 120. Is that clear? Sine 120 is actually what? Root 3 over 2. So now root 3 over 2 times 60 will give us 51 point. So sine alpha is equal to 51.96 divided by what we have here, 79.4, right? 79.4, right? So this is 0.6544. Okay, let's move to a fresh page. So sine alpha is what? 0.6544. We won't stop here, we are looking for this. So we're going to find the inverse, the sine inverse, right? The sine inverse of our answer, 0.6544. Just type in this into the calculator and you get the answer. So sine inverse of this gives what? 40.87 degree. So this is our resultant and direction respectively. Yes, the last question for today. They said a block is pushed with two forces, one horizontal of 30 Newton and the other which is inclined at 50 degree of 40 Newton. That is 50 degree, right, between both, right? So find the magnitude and direction of the net force acting on the block. When they say net force, don't disturb yourself. They mean what? Resultant. Don't stress your life. Exactly. Alright, so what we're going to do here is this. The resultant force. So it's more or less like this. 50 degree. Remember, this is an acute angle. So here is the specific total of this 30 Newton. And here's what? 40 Newton. Alright, so what you do is complete it. Alright, so the same procedure. I should have left this thing as class task for you so you guys will do it. I want to ensure that you guys know it, but I will solve it. But ensure you pause the video and solve it on your own. And when you get the final answer, you rejoice, you shout of joy. Alright, so this x plus 50 degree plus 50 degree equal to 360 degree. The same procedure, no, you're not missing anything, right? Plus 100 degree equals to 360 degree. So 2x is equal to 360 degree minus 100 degree, which is what, 260 degree, right? Divided by 2x, so we have x is equal to 130 degrees. So that's what our x is, right? That's what our x is. So this is 130 degree. So let's get this done. Let's bring it out. Alright, so this is what this 130 degree, these are 30, and this 30, this 40, so this 40 Newton, and these are R, right? So the same procedure equal to 30 square plus 40 square minus 2 times 30 times 40 cos 130. Is that clear? So 30 square is what? 9 first. That is 9 square is what? 9. Then 0 0. What of this 16? That is 0 0 minus, so 2 times 30 times 40 will give you what? 2,400 cos 130. You make use of a calculator, will give you minus 0.6427. Is that clear? So 900, this is 900, not 960. So 900 plus 1,600 will give us what? 2,500. Alright, is that clear? Alright, so this angle times 2,400 will give us what? Remember, this is negative, so here we become what? Positive. So we have 1,542.69. So add this to 2,500. What do you get as answer? We have r square equal to 957.309. Square root both sides. R is equal to square root of 957.309. So our final answer here is R equal to 30.9 Newton. Is that clear? Alright, let's go to the next one, which is direction, and that will end our video for today. Alright. Okay, let's move on. So we got R as 30 points. I'm busy. 30.9 Newton. Is that clear? Now, to get our direction, how do we go about that? The same procedure. Don't stress yourself. So we'll have 30 Newton and 40 Newton and 130 degree between them. Clear? Okay. So we'll have something like this. So 130 degree, 30 Newton and 40 Newton, and here's a 30.9 Newton. Is that clear? All right. So this is what this will be our direction. The same procedure. 40 divided by sine alpha is equal to 30.9 divided by 130 sine 130. Is that clear? Multiply both sides. We have 40 times sine 130 is equal to sine alpha times 30.9. Is that clear? So sine 130 will give us what? Will give you times 0.7660 times 40. So multiply your answer times 40, by 40, you will get 30.641, right? So sine alpha times 30.9 is equal to sine alpha times 30.9 divided by 30.9. $30.9, right? All right. Okay, so divided by 30.9, you get 0.9916, right? 0.9916 equal to sine alpha. This same way, the time you are going to use the inverse, so let me okay, it's back to normal. Okay, so the inverse, the sine inverse of that, right? And if you use the sine inverse of 0.9916, right, you're going to get 82.5876 degree, which is approximately 82.6 degree. Is that clear? All right, that's how simple this is. That's how simple it is. So it shouldn't end here. Okay, let's confirm it again to ensure that I don't make a mistake. 16, yeah, 82.5. So we've gotten our resultant and our direction too. Exactly. All right. So recap. So today we learned more about resultant forces. When multiple forces act on an object, their combined effect can be represented as by a single force called the resultant force or net force. Because some questions will say net force and not resultant force, or vice versa. Exactly. All right. So we learned how to get the resultant force. We explored different scenarios. That is the questions. We treated several questions involving two forces acting at various angles, acute and obtuse, and specific angles like we did a 120 degree, we did 20 degree, we did 60 degrees, we did 45 degrees. Is that clear? We discussed how to calculate the magnitude and direction of the resultant force in each case. So for the resultant force, we know that it's equal to F1 square plus F2 square minus 2F1 F2 cos theta. So we're going to mix up cosine rule, and for the direction, we're simply going to say AO, that is the sine rule. We're going to mix up the sine rule, right? Exactly. So just let this stick in your brain, and do not forget, ensure you solve a lot of questions, solve questions. If you have any video you think we should create anytime soon, just say that in the comment section, and we always do that. Exactly. All right. So as a culture here, I will always give home tasks. Exactly. So ensure you solve this on your own. Do not ask ChatGPT or AI to help you, or your friend to help you. Solve it yourself. Right? Solve it yourself. Don't worry about feeling it or getting it. We are all learning. Right? Once you get it, once you solve it, you can send the correct answer to this to the comment section, or better still, you can send it to the email. Right, your email address. This is our email address: officialgallant.2000, I mean to say, at gmail.com. Right. So Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for staying patiently to the end of this video. Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you. Ensure you share the video, ensure you like, ensure you subscribe, ensure you share, right? And you can follow us on our platform, that is at official gallant tutors, both on Google, on Facebook, on TikTok, any social media handle, right? Even on Instagram, you can also follow us there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. God bless you. Have a great day ahead. Bye.